All right, hello and welcome to the HB Woodlawn Secondary Program Information Session for the tonight. My name is Casey Robinson. I'm the principal here at HB Woodlawn, and I'm joined by our two assistant principals, Kate Sesh and Graham McBride. We're really glad that you are here or tuning in to learn a little bit more about HB Woodlawn. All three of us are parents of Arlington Public Schools students, and one of the things we like to say is that HB Woodlawn is just one of many great options of all the schools we have here in APS. So you have no bad choices as you're considering your different options. We believe that all of our comprehensive high schools and middle schools offer great opportunities for our students, and HB Woodlawn is one other alternative. And so you're here tonight to learn a little bit more about what makes HB Woodlawn different from the comprehensive middle and high schools. So our core philosophy is based on 4 different pillars, and those 4 pillars are self-governance, self-directed learning, caring community, and equity. And we will spend a little bit of time tonight talking about what each of those aspects of our philosophy, what they look like in practice here at HB Woodlawn.
So we'll go ahead and start with self-governance. So at HB Woodlawn, we have a lot of opportunities for students to engage with their own personal free time. And there are always adults around. There are adults to help sometimes structure that time, and there's other times where students are able to make their decision about where they'd like to spend their time, how they'd like to do that. And we really work with students. It's a gradual process from 6th grade through to 12th grade to give them opportunities to really have autonomy in deciding, if you've got we may have a 45-minute block in the morning one morning where students can go see a teacher to get help, and they have some agency in deciding this is the teacher I need to see at this point, this is the thing I should be working with, this is something that realistically I could get done at home, and just decide how to structure their time. And it creates some really nice spaces for kids to engage authentically with adults, not just in the classroom setting, but rather being able to seek out adults when they need them and ask the questions that are relevant to them and build that relationship. Additionally, here, we use a town meeting system to create kind of rules, guidance, structures, just to kind of help guide our program. And the town meeting is open to all students and staff and happens in our school library. And kids are welcome to come and attend. And there may just be discussions that are around some really, maybe for the adults in the room, significant topics like homework and kind of behavior expectations, and then there may be topics like, should we have a mascot, and what should that mascot be, and that changes from week to week. And any kid is welcome to come. No one needs to come, but it's an opportunity where if students have something they would like to voice, there's a space that exists for them to come and engage with it there.
Our second pillar is self-directed learning, and this is a real area of focus for all of our staff and our students. People are often ask questions about what does self-directed learning look like in practice. And our goal broadly is to give students more control over their education and their experience when they're here at school. And so we sort of, in recent years, have been working around a concept of making sure that students feel like they have autonomy, that they can show what they know in different ways, and they can choose how to learn that material, that they have a sense of belonging, that they know the purpose of the course, that they know that they belong in that classroom community, and that ultimately we're building them towards a feeling of competence in knowing that material. So in an ideal world, students aren't just learning it to get the grade or to say that they did, but because we are, by basing it in these ideas of autonomy and belonging and competence, that students are engaged in their learning in a way that is authentic. So this looks really different, obviously, for a 6th grader, a 9th grader, and a 12th grader, and it is something that we try to scaffold. And so we start in sixth grade, there is choice. So we're trying to say, okay, if you might learn this material best by reading, some kids might want to watch a video or listen to a podcast to get that same information. But we want students to be able to engage in depth in various ideas, but using modes and ways that work best for them. And so that scaffolding changes as kids get older. The prompts and the ideas get broader. So, for example, our seniors are working on a concept project in English where they're taking the really broad ideas, big concepts, and figuring out what they want to write about. That doesn't look exactly the same in sixth grade, but we're building towards projects like that when students get older. We try to do some student-led workshops. You can see some pictures here, both of class time, but also some of the various activities that we do. FebFest, which are student-led workshops. June Time, which are multi-day workshops that are cross-graded, where students and staff get to share different passions. So all of this is embedded in this idea of self-directed learning.
For Caring Community, one of the hallmarks of the program here at HB Woodlawn is that we have a teacher advisory program, and so students are able to, starting in sixth grade all the way through high school, work with different adults to kind of have a point person, a place where if they're struggling with something socially, something academically, where if they want guidance in terms of course planning, that person would be their go-to. And in sixth grade, right now in our middle school grades, your teacher advisor is someone within your grade level team. As students move into high school, teacher advisories are grades 9 through 12 together, and many different full-time staff members take on that capacity and work with students. And a nice piece of it here is the group is about 15 to 18 students, and as students become seniors, if they decide to apply to colleges, your teacher advisor will write what is the guidance counselor letter of recommendation. And for some kids, they've been working with someone for 4 years, and so there's a lot to say about who students were when they were 14, 15, starting high school, and where they are now at 18, heading out. And it has a really nice, it's a nice touch point for parents as well. In addition, we are co-located with another school program called the Shriver Program, which is a program for students with significant disabilities. And we do a lot of work with that program through the Best Buddies program, through a partnership with Shriver, activities, shared holiday celebrations, shared different Friday activities that they put together. And so the partnership has worked out really well for us to build a really strong community here.
And finally, our fourth pillar is our equity pillar. And the idea behind our equity pillar is not that it's just festivals and activities. We think those are important too, because we really do believe that representation matters, and it's important that in a diverse community, all of our students feel seen and can feel that they come to school and bring their whole selves to school. And so as a part of that, we really try to engage in intentional conversations, both as a staff and with our students, around all different aspects of equity, whether that's race, ethnicity, gender, religion, neurodiversity, sexual orientation. All of those things are conversations that we are having, and we want to make sure that all of our students feel comfortable regardless of how they identify. We really focus on how all of our differences and our assets come together to make us part of a bigger community. This equity issue and pillar is also related to how we interact with each other, in person, online, trying to make sure that all students are getting what they need for their social lives, for their emotional lives, and for their academic lives. So for a typical sixth grader, some of the things that we want to make sure that all students and families know when they're thinking about applying to HB Woodlawn is that the vast majority of our students ride the bus. Our building is located in Roslyn on Wilson Boulevard. And we do provide bus transportation from all neighborhoods in Arlington using what are called hub stops. So your bus stop might be, a mile away, but there is a hub stop in every neighborhood. So most students arrive, come on the bus, come inside, and for sixth graders, they have their core classes in the morning. So these are the same 5 core classes that are at all the comprehensive middle schools. So science, math, social studies, English, and reading. One difference is that we do not offer intensified classes here at HB Woodlawn. We do offer some differentiation for math, but in terms of our other core classes, we do not offer intensified classes. So all of our other core classes through middle school are heterogeneously grouped. After core classes, students will go to lunch. Lunch is very different here at HB Woodlawn than it is at comprehensive middle schools. We do have a cafeteria, but very few students eat in that cafeteria. We allow students to have time to make a choice of where they want to eat and how they want to use that time. And so that's one of those places, as Kate was talking about self-governance, where kids start to practice making those choices about how to use their time. After lunch, we have elective courses, so that includes PE, which is not an elective, but falls sort of in that category. Our sixth graders are able to take a introduction to a world language, which would be Spanish, French, or Latin. Other virtual classes become available later in middle school. And then they can choose from our other elective options. So those include drama, art, music, as they get into 7th and 8th grade, robotics and programming, photography and film. So there's a lot of options, all of which are included on our program of studies on our website. So the afternoon for a sixth grader is typically their electives. All of our courses only meet 4 times per week. You'll see on the next slide. It doesn't mean there's a 5th day with no classes. It's just sort of an alternating block. Then we get back on the bus and kids head home. We do start later. We start at 9 a.m., which is very different start time than the comprehensive middle schools, which means that we don't end until 3:50 p.m. And the vast majority of students get back on the bus at that time. We don't have a lot of after-school activities. Most of our clubs and other things are built into the school day. So here's a copy of our schedule for this year. Like I said, we have these I-block times, which are times where students can work to visit with teachers, get remediation, get extension, and other kinds of supports. You'll see our TA time built in there and our town meeting time, and you'll see how the blocks rotate through the week.
So for ninth graders, the differences kind of here is a lot of what Casey mentioned with the 6th grade schedule. Again, the vast majority of 9th grade students come on the school bus and use the hub stops to do that. And that's always located kind of a community center or an elementary school or some space nearish to your home. Our students, just like they take at the comprehensive high schools, take 7 courses. That's a full course load for high school and APS. In addition to that, the schedule we have includes 8 blocks, and we call them blocks, but they're not blocks that are like, if you're coming from a comprehensive middle school, you're used to the hour and a half. This is just terminology that's lasted, but it is a 48-minute period. But within that, students will take 7 courses, and with their 8th period that they have on their schedule will become a free block. And this is something that, should your student receive a spot through the lottery, we will sit down and explain the whole system. And the students understand it pretty quickly. For adults, it's always a little trickier, but we'll work with you so everyone knows where they need to be. In terms of course offerings here, an important distinction, like Casey was saying, is we do not offer intensified courses in subject areas outside of math. And so for high school students coming in, their English course would be English 9. Their biology course would be biology 9. And that is just, we put everyone into those same classes, and then the math placement is kind of structured through APS and how they determine where students would proceed into their next logical math class. An important thing that Casey brought up is that this school is a late start school and a late end school. And so I know for a lot of students coming out of middle school, families have built sports schedules and other outside activity schedules around what is a really early schedule in middle school. And so it's just really important for your family to have a conversation now, knowing that if school doesn't end until 3:50, realistically, your student wouldn't be able to attend something that started at 2:30 or 2:45 like they would have coming out of a middle school. And so what does that mean in terms of those activities and those schedules? And that's a really valuable conversation to have if they're thinking about HB Woodlawn for the coming year. For our high school students, unlike our middle school students, they are able to play sports at their home high school if they want to. And with that, we are able to they take their free block as the last block of the day and can leave on a sports bus, which is an APS school bus transportation, to their home high school where they can arrive in time for practice. So in that case, they're able to get to APS events. But if there's something happening outside of that, that's an important thing to just consider. One other piece that's different for our ninth graders is that we do have an open campus with parent permission, so students are able to access some of the spaces around Roslyn. Probably the two most frequently used spots are the CVS right next door and the 7-Eleven, and kids may run out to get a drink, pick up a coffee, get some candy, and come back. But that is something that looks a little different, and again, if your student is offered a spot through the lottery, we'll explain kind of what that looks like and the practicalities of that on a day-to-day basis.
So a few other differences. So because of our schedule, we do offer very few after-school activities. We do have some plays that happen, an active theater program, our musicals, an ultimate Frisbee team. But like I said, because we have one lunch, a lot of clubs meet during our school day at lunch or other times within the school day. Kate talked a little bit about sports at your home high school. All high school students can play a sport at their home high school, but middle school students cannot play sports at their home middle school. So everyone always thinks they'll be able to figure this out, and that is not possible. So high school, definitely yes. Middle school, if it's really important to you to be on the Gunston cheerleading team or the Swanson soccer team, that will not be possible if you attend HB Woodlawn for middle school. We have this slide here that says no continuous adult supervision. And so this is just something that is cultural and something to think about in our school culture, is that we have lots of adults here and there are lots of adults around. But as we were talking about with lunch, a group of students might decide to eat lunch at the bottom of the yellow stairwell, and there's not necessarily an adult sitting with them at the bottom of the yellow stairwell. And so they get a little bit of that autonomy and that trust to eat where they want. And at the same time, they have the responsibility of cleaning up when they're done, or treating each other nicely while they're sitting there at the bottom of the yellow stairwell. And so that no continuous adult supervision, that's true really everywhere, but we just want to make sure that's something that all families and students are comfortable with if they choose HB Woodlawn. Kate talked a little bit about off-campus privileges, and again, we would discuss that in more detail if your student gets in through the lottery.
So a couple of other differences we'll just show you. We've got two slides of just some things that kind of make HB Woodlawn a unique experience for students. And so I talked a little bit about in high school the free blocks, which is when students have time to, and I think it's very appropriate for high school age students to start to think about when you are faced with 48 minutes of unstructured time, what should you do? The temptation to go maybe take a walk, get a coffee, come back is there, and that's totally fine. But if there's days when you know you have a lot happening in the evenings, maybe that time should be used to get some homework done, or maybe to connect with a teacher who also is free at that time to get the help that you need. But there's this space for kids to start to make that decision themselves, which, as they head out after high school to wherever they're going, is what their life will be anyway. And to be able to do that in a safe space where there are adults around, I think is a really valuable growing experience for them as adolescents. We have iBlock time, which is a time that meets, there's one long one, and that's where students also, for kids who are absent, who need help, who maybe have missed a test, there's again a chance for them to have agency to say, I know that I won't be there because I was out sick, I missed this math test, I'm going to arrange with my teacher to be at the testing center to take it during this time, and that time is built into the schedule where they can show up and take that. So that's another piece where we work with them to help them become more independent.
So a few other things you saw on the previous slide, just as an example of the students having more of a voice in what their education looks like. We do include students on our hiring committees. They are very involved. Both of these are examples from our town meeting. Things like our dress code is really, we don't have a dress code. We expect students to choose outfits that are school appropriate on their own, and we give them that autonomy to do so when there's issues that might come up at town meeting. Allocation is basically a process we go through. We try to be extremely transparent about why we're teaching, what we're teaching, who is teaching those classes, and we engage our students in those conversations more broadly so they understand why the decisions are being made the way that they're being made. So this is a picture of our building. When HB Woodlawn and Shriver moved to the Heights building, which, like I said, is in Roslyn. We moved here in September of 2019. We have a new field that was built, and the building is very different. It has 7 stories. So we are sort of in a more urban setting here. It is a beautiful building, and now with our completed field, we have a lot of really nice outdoor space that has been a great addition over the last couple of years. Here's another picture sort of from an apartment building across the street, and you'll be able to sort of see here that there's a lot of outdoor seating for lunch. And we do have a field that is used heavily both for PE at lunchtime for kids to play soccer and football, volleyball, other things that they want to do. And you'll see sort of at the south end of this field is where the buses arrive. So that's where students are brought into the school. So these just give you a little bit of a sense of where we're located. Just added this in. These are some activities and things that have happened or are happening this year, just to give you a sense of the variety of things that are offered during the school day.
So as we wrap up here, what we really encourage you to do is to share this presentation with your student, and if you're thinking that this may be the right program for your student, gather information. It's very likely you have a neighborhood friend, a sports friend, some connection in the community who has attended HB Woodlawn, does attend HB Woodlawn. And, I always encourage students, particularly at the high school level, to have those conversations with their peers to understand what's different here than at Wakefield, W&L, or Yorktown, what they see as pros, what they see as drawbacks, just so that there is a really robust conversation happening at your home about what your student wants to do and how that would look. If your student is offered a spot through the lottery, we will coordinate a day for them to come spend the day and visit and experience the school kind of on a normal school day, and we will have a follow-up parent meeting in person after those visits. That's for 6th and for 9th. And share information, and so that you understand kind of the logistics of the day-to-day and what that would look like if your student were to attend HB Woodlawn in place of their comprehensive school.
All right. Well, thank you very much for attending this session. And if you have questions, you are welcome to be in touch. And as Kate said, if your student is selected through the lottery, there will be an opportunity for parents and students to get more detailed information. So we look forward to meeting some of you, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.